Now here's what the final mountain stage looks like. Another short day, 145 kilometres, starting in Po, one of the Tour's oldest established stopping points, and taking in a couple of third category bumps before the real climbing starts. Today's 79th ascent of the Col du Tourmalet tackles its slightly longer side, which means 17 kilometres of hard labour to the summit and the Jacques Godet prize at 2,115 metres. Then comes the shorter but more brutal hautacam, 13.5 kilometres of climbing to decide who goes into the time trial with what by way of time to defend or make up. Hautacam is also worth 50 mountain points, so it should decide the polka dot jersey too.
The last climb in the Pyrenees, 13.6 kilometres to go. They go onto the climb with about 1 minute and 10 seconds over the chasers and 1.5 minutes over the yellow jersey. The last two climbs, a little bit of problem at the back there. We've cut through to the back of the race here because this looks as though it might be Peter Stentner here. Well, had a problem.
Phil, these guys did a lot of work, BMC, when they saw the acceleration come earlier on of Alejandro Valverde. BMC did a lot of work to chase down Alejandro Valverde, again, because they want to keep any hope of TJ Van Garderen getting a podium position, and they don't want to throw any more time away before the individual time trial on Saturday. Look at the crowd, and we haven't even really got to the steep part of the climb.
Well, this is it now, and look at this. The yellow jersey has two teammates taking him onto the slopes, and he's being surrounded by TJ Van Garderen's team at the moment. Trofimov in the red jersey in the group up front. That's down to 4 now. Trofimov, Demarchi, Bakalant and Duzarski. This is the main field. They're coming on. They're only 117 behind the two leaders now. And this is our Griblon again disappearing through our cameras as the peloton once more starts to thin out. Sylvain Chavanel goes as well.
Mikel Nieve has now put a little bit of time between himself and the man who has spent an long part of today with him. There, Blel Kadri has been left behind, but the question to me is, can Mikel Nieve hold on to a 1 minute and 18 second advantage? He's a great climber. He's won stages in the Tour of Spain and the Tour of Italy, but today he's got the yellow jersey group boring down upon him. Now it's still a phenomenal show of force coming from Team Astana, doing everything they can there, just sitting on the front there. Michele Scarponi is doing all of the final few bits of work for his teammate, and still Vincenzo Nibali looks very good. He doesn't look under any pressure at all.
I don't think I've seen faces on riders on the last Pyrenean climb like this for years, as we're now seeing Michael Rogers going off the back as well.
Alejandro Valverde looks concentrated there with his white sunglasses. Nibali there, as you can see, Phil, is down to his last man as number 47 slips away. That Michele Scarponi.
The small group runs away, but they're all to do with the man in yellow at the front. The feeling is he's going to put in a move that will show him head and shoulders above the rest riders. He's taking a drink now, Vincenzo Nibali. Valverde knows a good wheel. The second place man in the Tour de France sits right behind him and waits, and so too is Bardet and Perrault. They're there. This is TJ Van Garderen in the red is there, and so too the white jersey of Pinot. These boys are going to come to the top and go forward as one. Duzarski on the left. He started the move today. It seems a long time ago now. He was the man that started it all. About to be swept up. That will leave just two riders in front and riding his independence now. Kadri on his own. Nieve blazing the lonely trail up front. The flag of Yorkshire there reminding us, the blue flag with the white rose, where this race all began. And what's left to Yorkshire with Nibali in yellow. Now, who is going to be the first to attack? We're down to 10.8 kilometres to go to the top of this climb. That's Demarchi still ahead, just. That's Huzarski, he's given up.
Well, talk about the charge of the light brigade. Well, this looks very much like the same thing as we go into this valley now and start this long ascent up to Hautacam. Still 10 kilometres to go. And you know what? Michele Nieve has prized out a little bit more. It was inside of the 1 minute mark, and now he's straight into 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Just look at the speed of these riders as they climb this mountain. It's unbelievable. Through the crowds here now, the peloton is down to about 20 riders. They're 1 minute 10 behind the lone leader now. Mikel Nieve has gone with 12.2 kilometers to go as Chris Horner, the American, has decided it's all or nothing for him. He's nothing to lose by doing this.
Go back to the Tour of Spain last year and there was a duel between Chris Horner and Vincenzo Nibali.
Yep.
The victory on that occasion went to Chris Horner. You've got to, Phil, that is an amazing performance by a guy.
Nibali's left all the riders behind because he's too proud to allow Horner his head. Horner is not a threat.
Well, he's not a threat, but, you know, the amazing, look at this, Phil, 42 years of age. That's not a smile on his face there, by the way, just so that you know, that is a grimace. He's got all kinds of pain. He told us just the other day how hard it was. When you get up in the morning, this is aching, that's aching. I've got to put some pomade onto my knee just to get the pain away from that. And once I get going into the race, after a couple of hours, the body starts to warm up. Wow, this is amazing.
Horner is 35 minutes behind overall, and to me, we just saw the Tour de France surrender to Vincenzo Nibali. They're racing for second place in that group behind for the 42 seconds that split three riders, because Nibali has become untouchable.
Yes, but Phil, I wonder what Vincenzo Nibali is thinking as he makes a move like that onto the wheel of Chris Horner. He's thinking this guy had a massive crash in the month of May, just before the Giro d'Italia. We didn't even know he was going to walk again, yet alone ride a bike. And here I am sitting on his tail as I did just 6 or 9 months ago in the Tour of Spain last year.
And Chris Horner is flexing his legs for the last time in the mountains here to see just what he can get out of this. He was the oldest winner of the Vuelta a España last year. The man who tried to go with him and couldn't was Vincenzo Nibali. Now Nibali is using his power to take him to the Tour de France victory. Strange old world, bicycle racing.
Pierre Rolland, 151, struggling just a little bit at the back of the group. Well, you can see John Gadre now takes over the pacemaking for Alejandro Valverde. On his wheel is the leader of the King of the Mountains this morning, Rafael Maica. Now, all of a sudden, Vincenzo Nibali has gone. He's left Chris Horner behind. He's going to try and see what he can do. He could feel the fact that Chris Horner was starting to weaken a little bit. There is the acceleration. He wants to go out, as they would say, Imperial, if he can, on this final stage. He's got in front of him just one single rider, Mikel Nieve from Spain, riding for Team Sky. The gap is 43 seconds.
And look at this now, as the way they go up here.
Well, Phil, I told you, Vincenzo Nibali, I had the feeling this morning when I saw the team come to the front after the first few kilometres and start setting that tempo on the front of the main field, not allowing the breakaway too much of an advantage. He wanted to go out of the mountains of the Tour de France with a certain amount of panache, and he's trying to do that now. He's down to just 34 seconds behind the lone leader, Mikel Nieve.
But what is Valverde thinking right now? Because he knows he's going to be attacked by Team AG2R, by Team FDJ, and TJ Van Garderen might try, but as the angles kick up here, this man just goes quicker and quicker. He's now half a minute behind the only man left in front of him.
And he will not stop at this incredible tempo, Phil, until he catches Nieve and scurries off on his own for the final victory in the mountains. And what a way to go out. It's incredible panache. He knows he's going to have a hard time when it comes down to the final time trial, because that is certainly not one of his fortes, but he's proving to us that he is an incredibly classy climber.
And an attack by Rafael Maica now, also thinking of the major points, because this is a man who could sew up tonight at the King of the Mountains competition if he hasn't already done it.
Well, he knows he's got to finish inside of the points at the end of the day, because I'm pretty sure right now that Vincenzo Nibali is going to win the stage and he's going to get himself the 50 points. So it's going to be a huge battle for the King of the Mountains competition. Only 11 seconds now separating Nieve from the yellow jersey.
That camera shot showed him right there, the concentration on the maillot jaune of the Tour de France. Only on 2 days of this race has he never worn it. Day one, and then the day just before we went into the first set of mountains. But he passed it over to take it back again. Now, what's going to happen now? Is he going to say anything? And Nieve looks at him. He doesn't look at Nieve.
You didn't see the way that he just kicked as he came up alongside the Spaniard there. He wasn't going to give him any chance at all to get into his slipstream. He upped the pace, upped the tempo, and he's now up the gear. He's out of the saddle. The legs will be burning, but he knows this is probably the last time they're really going to burn before the final time. Just watch this again. Watch this acceleration. Bang! And he just puts him away.
The only man now who can beat Vincenzo Nibali is Vincenzo Nibali if he's done too much. Micah is also moving a clear now, while the battle for second place remains locked in that little group behind. Micah needs the big points now because there's 50 at stake for Nibali.
Well, that, Phil, is sheer pride on behalf of the 24-year-old Polish rider. He wants that competition. You know, a couple of days ago, he said, I've probably only got the lead in the King of the Mountains competition for a day or so. I don't think I'll be able to win it. But now he's riding to keep that jersey on his shoulders on this last big mountain point.
Still 7 kilometers plus to go to the finish here. And Thibaut Pinot has moved up behind his teammate Janson, the faithful pacemaker before the end. Valverde's on his wheel. The battle for that 42 seconds is on there.
There is Chris Horner, the man who really started all of the action at the bottom of the climb, which was taken over by Vincenzo Nibali. And it's great to see that move. Courage coming from the 24-year-old Polish rider here. Leads this competition. He knows he's got to get across to Nieve. Nieve can only be just around the corner. And once he moves into second place, he will keep fighting to stay in second place. I don't think he can get anywhere closer to the man who leads on the road, Vincenzo Nibali.
Oh, poor old Mikel Nieve. He really did start off well. It looked good for a time, but he's got mixed up in really a lot of battles here, and not least the personal battle between Nibali and himself. Now, I think, will he go straight by him, or will he say, come on, give me a hand up to the finish? Not so sure about that. He's going to keep driving here. He's just checked over his shoulder, and Nieve might just be digging deep for the moment. Now the situation's back to deja vu as Nibali leads up a mountain for the 4th time here. We'll call Jenkins Road in Sheffield a mountain. It seemed like it at the time. It's not like these mountains.
No, you can just see Micah looks back over his shoulders. He will be comfortable in second place. He knows he's not going to win the stage because there's no chance. Oh, you've got to be careful even when you're leading the race. You never know. You've got to be careful when you cut corners like that.
This is behind the main peloton now with Frank Schleck here as well. This is still Janson at the front as he pulls the white jersey Pinot. Alongside Pinot is Valverde. This is the 42-second battle as to who goes up into second place tonight in the Tour de France. Valverde, Pinot, or indeed Perrault.
Well, if you think about it, Perrault and Pinot are only separated by 8 seconds, and Jean-Christophe Perrault, Phil, he can think about going into the individual time trial with a good chance of going ahead of the young Frenchman who wears that white jersey.
There's the catch. He's gone back now through the field. His battle to win is over, so he's turned himself off as TJ Van Garderen comes to the front. You know, they're only 20 seconds behind Rafał Majka. If they have a resurgence, they could pick up the rider from Poland.
Well, slipping away now, number 64, Stefan Kruijswijk, one of the riders from Team Belkin. It's really now coming down to just a few bike riders left. TJ Van Garderen has now decided to assume control. He's dispatched very quickly Frank Schleck and also Aimar Zubeldia. Zubeldia had climbed up into 11th place overall. But for TJ Van Garderen, Phil, in 6th place overall, he's got to start thinking about the final time trial. He's got to start thinking, can he grapple back a few seconds here or there over Bardet or Pinot?
TJ Van Garderen sets the pace. Pinot is right there in the white jersey. Valverde knows his second place is up for grabs now. Pinot sits behind him overall by just 34 seconds. They look at each other. The terrific duo from Belkin are still there. Lawrence ten Dam and Bauke Mollema. This is a very select group, and just tucked on the back there is still Perrault and Bardet. Any takers there, says Lawrence ten Dam. Anybody coming? Yes, I'll come, says Leopold Koenig, and also Pinot.
Well, Leopold Koenig there in the dark blue jersey of NetApp, he responds pretty quickly. These guys are all tired. When you see it, there goes Thibaut Pinot. He's looking for this. He's thinking about finishing in second place overall, and there's no response coming from Alejandro Valverde.
The two riders who threatened Valverde just left his side, and they're only looking for seconds. Valverde is cracked here, and this could be the end of second place in the Tour de France. There's 34 seconds and 42 seconds, the gaps of Pinot and Perrault behind Valverde.
This is the man they've been trying to dethrone for the last couple of days, Alejandro Valverde. He went on the attack on the descent of the Col du Tourmalet because he wasn't confident about this final climb of the day.
But you know, this is a deja vu of yesterday on the final climb, a Pla d'A about the same point, taking a drink, losing ground. He finished alongside those riders at the top. I'm not so sure it's going to happen now. Just inside 5 kilometers to go, number 11, Alejandro Valverde, is again in trouble here. He's been hit by 3 men, the riders who sit in 3rd, 4th and 5th in the Tour de France. He is currently in 2nd, but if he loses 34 seconds, he will lose his 2nd place in the race. There is the yellow jersey, riding in solitary splendor to the top of hautacam, the end of the high mountains of this year's Tour de France. He's had 3 stage wins already. He's now going to make it 4. Still being pursued by Micah. Micah's still being timed at 49 seconds behind him.
Bauke Mollema just pulling off there, says to Leopold Koning. Little swing from the hand saying, come on, a bit more energy here, but it's a question of the old captain to the ship saying, bridge to engine room, more power. But there is no more power at a stage like this after we've raced through 3 very difficult days in the Pyrenees.
As we go further back down, and we're seeing TJ Van Garderen, and now just the 2 Frenchmen here. This is becoming a personal battle now for who finishes 2nd for France in the Tour de France, between Thibaut Pinot and Jean-Christophe Perrault.
Well, I would give advantage to Jean-Christophe Perrault at the moment, because only 8 seconds are separating Perrault from 3rd place overall, Thibaut Pinot, and the Frenchman is a very good time trialist. But Phil, we've still got 3.7 kilometers to go to the top of the climb. There can still be a big change in the way this race looks.
The lonely man now having to do all of the work is Alejandro Valverde. He expected to be attacked on this climb. He tried to preempt it by attacking down the Tourmalet. For a while it looked good, but now he's been put on the defensive here. The riders with him, I think, are on the limits too.
There's the group of Alejandro Valverde. They're all sitting on the wheel of the Spaniard now. They know that he's got to ride himself. He's got to do all of the pacemaking. There's the gap that I just said was a little bit more than we thought between the leader of the race, Micah.
As Nibali heads up towards the summit, he's looking for 3 kilometers to go. He must be able to see it through those dark glasses at the moment. Looking here at Rafa Micah, looks over his shoulder. He knows they're coming and he starts to dig deeper. He's certainly not going to wait for them.
No, he will not. He won't want to leave it down to a sprint. He realizes how important 2nd or 3rd position is going to be for him on the stage today, and he will really fight to get that. He's dreamed now over the last couple of days of winning that competition, winning the King of the Mountains, but it's going to be a tough call against this man. This man will ride away with the stage victory today, maximum points as well, and it's all a question of how you throw the blanket down behind and who picks up the numbers.
Well, pressure's off a little bit for Micah Paul, having just taken a break from commentary, and again with paper flying everywhere. We're now checking, because it's double points on this last climb. It's the top 6 for the Polish rider. That's all he's got to do. If Nibali wins, he must finish in the top 6 tonight, and that should be enough. Well, let's see what happens here, because they've got him in his sights, and there's 3 of them coming up, which could put him in 5th place. It's going to be close.
Well, it goes down to the top 10, the points on the top of the stage this afternoon. Alejandro Valverde, look at that face. That's a face of concentration. He's not asking for help from anybody else in this group, because he knows it will not be coming. It's all up to him. If he wants to conserve a pace on the podium when it comes down to Paris, it's up to him to do it now and over the last couple of kilometers. Well, Valverde just keeps going at the job in hand. This is a man who has dreamed about Paris and dreamed about the podium, and these 3 riders now, led by Thibaut Pinot, are just about to catch Rafael Micah. I wonder if he's done the calculations that we've done. If he finishes in 6th place on the stage, Phil, it's going to turn around and Nibali will lead by a single point.
Still, it's Valverde here, still trying to limit his losses. He's 1:15 back. to the Group Perrault. Valverde is 33 seconds. When it's 34 seconds, he loses second place in the Tour de France. There is Perrault.
Well, Perrault, 37 years of age, Phil, a former brilliant mountain biker, an Olympic silver medalist in the mountain bike before deciding to have a crack at road racing. But you might just have spotted the shark. Well, this is the Shark of Messina. This is where he was born. This is Vincenzo Nibali, born in Sicily, raised in Tuscany, and today he's dominating the Pyrenees. He doesn't have much time left to go this afternoon. 1.6 kilometers, that's about a mile of racing to the top of this climb.
2 kilometers for the second group on the road here at 1 minute 15 seconds behind the leader. And Jean-Christophe Perrault may look tired, but deep down, he's going to feel very, very happy tonight. His one lifelong ambition is to finish on the podium in Paris, and he's in that very position right now.
So too is the man at the front of this group. Where's number 11? He keeps looking down to see has anybody else in this group got any power. He's currently losing quite a big chunk of time, 1:18 to the group of Perrault, and he is at 1:54, but that is to the yellow jersey. I think this is the best day. Just looking at TJ Van Garderen there in the black and red jersey there, Phil, this is probably the best day that he's handled the mountains. And coming back to confirm that his 5th place in the Tour de France a couple of years ago was no fluke.
We look down on 1 kilometer to go for the yellow jersey of the Tour de France, who has won the Tour de France today. He now leads by over 7 minutes. All he's got to do, and he'll be the first to tell you, he's definitely won it here in the mountains with a lead of more than 7 minutes over his nearest rival. I think for a gap like that, go back more than 20 years.
Well, he's got to face up to a long time trial at the weekend, 54 kilometres, 34 miles. This group now is battling out for the podium. There you can see Thibaut Pinot is doing a phenomenal job on the front in his white jersey. TJ Van Garderen is hanging in there as well. These guys sitting 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th on the road are trying to vie out a podium position in Paris.
And this man, number 11, yes, he may be losing his 2nd place tonight. It'll only be by a few seconds to this man, Thibaut Pinot, as Pinot slowly pulls away. At the moment, he is now 7:22 in virtual behind Nibali and 7 seconds ahead of Valverde and 8 seconds ahead of Perrault. What a battle for the 2nd place it's going to be in that long time trial. There'll never be a time trial like that to decide 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the Tour de France again.
That is not very much time at all. That's if we were to stop the race at the moment, but you know those time gaps can still change a fraction. Jean-Christophe Perrault, what a ride by the 37-year-old. There he is. He wears the yellow helmet. His team is leading the competition for the best team in the race. This man is battling, is losing his position on the podium on Paris. This is suffering, Phil. This man, at 37 years of age, has dreamt about the podium position in Paris. This man thought he had it at the start of the day, and it seems to be being ripped off his shoulders.
And Pinot sets the pace because he knows every second is going to be absolutely precious if he's going to keep in 2nd place after Saturday's time trial. He needs every second. But let's, for the moment now, remember the rider who has dominated the 3 weeks of this Tour de France. As he comes up towards the finish now, he will win his 4th stage of the Tour de France, while the battle for 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place will go to the wire.
Well, at the moment, rougher timing by me, Phil, puts Alejandro Valverde 39 seconds behind Thibaut Pinot. But this is the day that belongs to this man, the Shark of Messina.
From Sheffield to the Vosges, to the Alps, to the Pyrenees, the result has been the same for this man. Vincenzo Nibali comes up for his 4th stage win in the Tour de France. He is an absolute champion, and tonight he leads the Tour de France by over 7 minutes. Well, he can take a rest now. This is the battle for seconds. Who will be in 2nd place tonight? Judging by the effort made by Thibaut Pinot, he could be up to his highest ever position in the Tour de France.
Well, that's what he's hoping for. He knows he needs time. He knows he needs a buffer over Alejandro Valverde. He's not the great individual time trialist, but what a battle this has been on the road between these guys. There's the man who wants to win the King of the Mountains.
And look at this, Michael is coming away, and this will certainly stitch up the King of the Mountains for the Polish leader here. 2 stage wins for him. He's followed Nibali home before in the Alps, and it looks like he's going to follow him home again in the Pyrenees as Micah pulls away. But look at Pino gritting his teeth just to hold this man, because he goes forward with him and he's going to attack him, and he's taking seconds out of Perrault. Well, that is inspiration. You've got to be French and the best white jersey leader to produce that effort at the end. Pino third, Micah fourth, Perrault fifth, and TJ Van Garderen back in the big time with a great ride today. As Bardet comes away from Valverde as well, he's going to take time on him. We're looking at 1:43, and it'll put Pino in second place as Romain Bardet shoots away. He's in 5th place overall, by the way, for 2 minutes 8 seconds off that second place. He's closed in on that today, especially on Alejandro Valverde, this young star of the future. 1:43 is gone, now we're counting down, and Valverde is losing his second place tonight.
So there's the result. Vincenzo Nibali confirming first place overall with his 4th first place on a stage. Thibaut Pinot second on the stage and moving up to a strictly unconfirmed second place overall. Rafael Micah's third was enough to secure the King of the Mountains title. He was 2 seconds behind Pinot, 3 ahead of Jean-Christophe Perrault and TJ Van Garderen. Romain Bardet came in 6th at 1:53, chased by Bauke Mollema, Leopold Koenig, and more importantly, Alejandro Valverde. He lost 1:59 to Nibali, which was 49 seconds to Pinot and 44 to Perrault. And they were all racing each other because everybody knew in advance it was pointless trying to race Vincenzo Nibali. He made his 16th trip to the podium as race leader today, the 16th of an expected 19, having done, as he has all race, precisely what he set out to do.
Programmato, perché comunque stavo bene anche dopo l'arrivo di ieri, sapevo che stavo molto bene anche oggi con la squadra. Dalla mattina abbiamo cercato di tenere la fuga abbastanza vicina, e questa vittoria da dedicare alla squadra perché ha fatto un grande lavoro. E poi qui nel finale insomma c'è stato anche qualche attacco di Horner, quindi non volevo farmi sfuggire proprio la corsa, e il mio obiettivo era cercare di vincere qui.
The only question left to be decided for Vincenzo Nibali is exactly how much he'll win this Tour by and from whom. Thibaut Pinot is now second, 7 minutes 10 behind him, and Jean-Christophe Perrault third, the pair of them having leapfrogged Alejandro Valverde. Valverde, though, is only 15 and 2 seconds behind them, respectively. Bardet, Van Garderen, Mollema and Tentam might shuffle their placings in the time trial, but the battle for the podium behind Nibali is between 3 men.
C'est une très bonne journée. Après, c'est vrai que j'ai des bonnes sensations sur le final de l'étape, donc Nibali était intouchable aujourd'hui, mais faire deuxième au classement général, reprendre un peu de temps sur Valverde, c'est bien. Mais il n'y a pas assez de temps encore, je pense, pour le chrono de samedi.
Qu'est-ce que vous espérez pour le reste du Tour de France? Conserver le maillot blanc?
Oui, le maillot blanc, j'espère le conserver. Après, j'espère aussi faire un podium. C'est sûr qu'un podium à Paris, ce serait super.
Ouais, je suis content, c'était un peu l'objectif du jour. Voilà, moins j'aurai de temps à prendre sur le chrono, et mieux ça sera. Voilà, aujourd'hui, c'était pas les super sensations. J'ai limité la casse au courage, satisfait de la journée.
Tengo que poner mi ritmo y subir a lo que yo puedo, y bueno, al final hemos perdido el segundo y el tercero, pero bueno, estamos muy cerca y bueno, en la crono puede pasar de todo, de recuperar o no recuperar.
And Valverde either will or won't recover the day after tomorrow. Rafael Micah, by contrast, can cruise to Paris. He has a 13-point lead in the King of the Mountains competition, with a grand total of 2 remaining between here and the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah, I'm really happy, but today I don't feel so good before the start, and I feel a little bit legs after the long breakaway. But still, in the podium today, I'm really happy, and I have my jersey, the mountain jersey. I'm really happy, also for my teammates, because it's working for me almost the Tour de France, 10 days in Tour de France, and I'm really happy. But today I don't win, but I'm still in the podium.
And just one final formality as far as podiums go, the green jersey. Peter Sagan's victory in that, as long as he remains upright, is now beyond mathematical doubt, as well as reasonable doubt, as it has been for about 10 days.